Hello and welcome to this special preview episode of the East Anglia Hobbit Community Podcast. I'm Jack and I'm here today with Josh.
Hello everyone.
Yeah, so today we're just going to do a quick preview of the upcoming league event, the two Armies. It is happening this Saturday, the 21st, at the Scout Hut in Epping.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to do a quick run through because we want to get it up more than one day in advance of the event. So hopefully this will be up today, Wednesday, or potentially Thursday. But we're aiming for Wednesday to give people a little chance to listen in if they are coming, and if they're not coming, just have a listen if you're interested, and see what kind of events we run.
That's it.
Yeah, so I think to start off, we'll quickly have a recap of the event format. I know most people listening, well, maybe not most, some people listening will be coming, and some of those will have read the rules, some of them will have read the summary, some probably won't have read any. It's just how it is. So it is a 450-point event, and there is the option to take a good and evil army, but it's not compulsory, so you can just take one or the other if for whatever reason you would rather do so. It's going to be a 4-game event, and the scenarios have been paired up to kind of get an even spread of games that favour numbers and low numbers armies, just to make it slightly fairer is the intention, but we'll see how that plans out. It's the first time we've done it.
It also makes list building challenging.
Yeah, because I think yourself and CJ spoke before how some of the scenarios, well, more of the scenarios favour numbers potentially than low numbers.
I think the objective, if you're playing specifically the objectives, yes.
Yeah. So we've tried to kind of even that out a little bit, potentially. But also it's just something different as well, just to keep it a little bit fresh. So the way it works is if you take one army, obviously you will have to play that army in every game you play.
Which applies to both of us, I believe.
Yes. We'll run through our list afterwards. And if you take a good and evil, and your opponent only has one army, you always take the opposite faction. So in my case, I'm taking good, so I'll always be playing someone. If someone's got two armies, I'll always be playing their evil. Josh, you're taking evil, so you'll always be playing the other person's good if they have two armies.
Shock horror, Josh is playing an evil army.
And if you end up playing someone and you've both only got one army, if it ends up good versus good or evil versus evil, that's just the way it falls, rather than trying to do some complicated matching system.
Yeah.
The reason for keeping it as an optional good and evil was because we've still got a few newer players. I think one in particular is coming for the first time in the league this year and has only got one army. So it was just to keep it open for everyone.
Not even newer players, mate. I'm just too lazy to paint a good army.
Well, I haven't even painted my army. I'm going to have to borrow it off Dan.
You've been busy.
I bought the army. And I just haven't got around to it. Bearing in mind it is Eagles, and all that is base coat and dry brush. I haven't even got around to doing that.
Yeah,
but
base coat, dry brush, wash, done.
Not even wash. I was just going to dry brush.
I mean, yeah, but a wash just blends your dry brushing in a bit better.
But so yeah, it's people who don't potentially have two armies or do have two armies and wouldn't get two new ones painted up in time. So we've kept it like that. And so the way, and one other thing with the pairings, if you both got a good and evil, in the rules pack it says something slightly different. Originally, when I wrote it up, I did it quite quickly. It was going to be a roll-off, and then you choose which army you would rather use if you won that roll-off. However, I'm going to change that slightly to it'll be a random roll, because it was pointed out that I don't think it really applies to our community so much, but if there was a certain matchup. It can do sometimes. Well, it's getting
some of the lists.
The crunch time to the end of the league as well.
A few people have pulled out the big toys.
Yeah. So it is just to keep that randomness and fairness to an extent in there, and just to keep it fair, just even for everyone. So that's the format. It's 4 rounds. We've paired up the scenarios. You know what? I'll quickly check what the pairings up of them are. I can't remember off the top of my head. So, and bear in mind, this podcast is not going to be edited because we've got a few in the backlog. This is just going to be put up as it's recorded. So bear with me and Josh if there's the occasional rambling.
Oh, and bark, apparently.
Or us just checking a few things.
Hey, enough.
So the pairings of the scenarios, we've gone for Contest of Champions and Lords of Battle, Domination and Capture Control, Seize the Prize and Recon, Fog of War and Storm the Camp, Heirlooms of Ages Past and Hold Ground, Clash by Moonlight and To the Death. I've tried to pair scenarios up that are similar, so we'll roll a d6 at the beginning of each round, and then it'll be one of the two scenarios that we've chosen. And right, so from there, I haven't gone through all the list yet, so I haven't done a normal kind of chart to see what was the most popular and what everyone's using. However, I had
Gondor.
Yes, I've had a quick look through, and I've jotted a few things that I noticed on first look down. It seems like, I may have miscounted it, but this is roughly correct. There's 6 people who are just taking one army.
Oh, okay.
I think it's 4 Isengard was one of the ones that popped out a couple. I think we've got 2 Angmar. There's 3, it might have been 4, Rangers of Aphelion lists, the Legendary Legion. I think that worked quite well at these points, actually.
Works perfectly.
Yeah. And you've got, I think it was 4 Minas Tirith. So if you're looking at Rangers as Gondor and Minas Tirith as Gondor, you've got 7, maybe a few other lists that I've missed as well.
I think you've probably got, I think there's a couple of Dunedain Ranger lists as well, isn't there?
Yes, there is the Rangers somewhere down as well, yes. So you're looking at 7, 8 plus Gondor-esque lists.
Gondor, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're playing Gothmog's Legion, there'd be potentially you're going to have a lot of fun.
There is one Gothmog's Legion. I don't know if, I can't see who it was, but if they've posted it on the group or not, because everyone's taken to posting, well, not everyone, a fair chunk of people have taken to posting their armies.
I think because they're submitted, you can't change them anyway because you've submitted it, so people have got in the spirit of it and just sort of let everyone know what they're bringing, which is something that's, I think it's quite unique actually.
Yeah, so I always try, as soon as the event's put up, I try and announce my army list pretty soon. So I wouldn't, because I just like to use what I want to use anyway, just to show that I'm not looking at what comes in and then making my army beat that. I just choose what I want, and then everyone else will see mine anyway.
I don't think anyone thinks you would do that, but it is a good, it's just full transparency.
Exactly. It just takes away that, am I looking at the lists? No, I throw mine up and then take the other lists in. In fact, I didn't actually open any of the lists until Sunday. I think I double-checked the names I had on the email to make sure everyone has sent it in, but I don't think I started to. So I've still got a few more to do, well, quite a few more to do, but I'll get them done. With the list checking with our community, it's never really is anyone cheating. It's always, to be fair, I don't think I've had many mistakes, and if it is a mistake, it's usually just you've missed a spear somewhere, and it's completely accidental, or somehow the numbers have added up slightly wrong. It's never usually a sneaky, like, illegal warband kind of thing. It's usually just the odd point missed here and there.
Yeah.
I only do that just to make it fair for everyone, because even though it's only a point, that if someone wins an event and then it turns up they've got a couple of points over it, it just saves that awkwardness.
Yeah.
So that's just the thinking behind it. So we may as well run through our army lists while we're talking about it. Do you want to do yours first?
Yep. So obviously, I've been painting up a new army recently for the Strider Cup, which me and CJ have reviewed, but due to a few personal things with him, he's not been very well recently, and he broke his glasses. He's had a few issues. He's going to get that out ASAP, but you haven't heard it yet, so I won't go into how it went or anything like that, because you'll hear it when it comes out. But I'm taking the same list pretty much, but I lose my Corsair captain, because that was a 500 point each, so 1,000 point army but split, and this is obviously 450. So I get Dalamir, 6 Corsairs with shield, 6 Corsairs with spear and shield, and 6 Arbalesters. And then I get Dalgamar, 4 Corsairs with shield, 5 Corsairs with spear and shield, and 4 Arbalesters.
Sounds good. I've never played against Corsairs. I know Jay Clare won the GT, wasn't it? With his evil was
he
Corsairs,
did, yeah.
But then that's always not the best to go on because he's obviously very good at the game anyway. Not that everyone else isn't, but it's
Well,
I haven't really seen many Corsair lists.
The GT was good and evil,
Mm.
and I was going to do the other army that he did originally, but it's very difficult to get an Army of the Dead 450 list that looks somewhat competitive.
Yeah, when you try and get extra might with Aragon or someone, then you suddenly lose all of your models, really.
Because I was going to take the King and a Herald and a Banner. It's obviously a bit cheaper than Aragorn, but you're so dependent on keeping the Herald near the King, and if you have to then deploy separately, and
yeah,
there's a lot of effort. And I had arranged to borrow an army off someone, but I don't really like to do that, just in case something happens to the models or.
Yeah, that's like with me. I'm borrowing my army. Didn't want to, not for any other reason than just one, I wanted to get my own painted, and two, like you say, it's always nicer to use your own models.
Yeah.
But I just haven't got it painted, so yeah, Dan has kindly offered me his.
Sorry. And because it's a new army to me, so I obviously used it. I've played 6 games with it.
Yeah.
Ever, and very, very good and bad success. The doubles event obviously helped because it wasn't just down to my army.
Yeah.
In some scenarios, my army did a lot. In 2 of the scenarios, my army got slapped about the board. So, and I think I'm not guaranteed a top 12. I think I need a couple of good results. So, my aim for the event and the next event are just to try and win a couple of the scenarios with a high scoreline.
Yeah.
I'm not really bothered about. Shut up. I'm not really bothered about winning the event or placing at the event. I just want a couple of big scorelines to get myself in the finale.
Yeah, for the last league position. Well, we'll run through my army and then we'll talk about that and the next upcoming event as well after this one and how that's going to tie in with the end of the league. So my army, very easy. Guahir and 3 Eagles. All one warband. And yeah, wanted to give it a try. It fitted nicely with 450. So yeah, I think it'll be similar to yours. Some things will probably go really well. Some things probably won't go too well. I played 1 practice game, and I think I won that game. And it
Lords of Battle to the death, contest of champions, and something else.
Something else.
Jack's fixed the draw.
Well, this is why again I let everyone else roll for the scenarios. You don't want to be the most hated guy in the room when the scenarios rolled. So yeah, I'm similar to you. Just looking to have a bit of fun with the army, still getting used to it, see what works, see what doesn't work. I'll probably lose a couple of games badly. I might win 1 or 2 games quite well and see how it goes. I'd be interested to play your army, actually. I've never played against Corsairs. So hopefully we'll get drawn against each other.
Ow, just bit me. I've theorised our game already.
Oh, have you?
1 second.
No problem.
I've theorised our game somewhat, and it depends on the scenario, obviously, but
you've got your plans.
I have a plan if we end up playing, because arguably, if you can manipulate as and when you attack and hurling, it could go one of 2 ways. But then if I can manipulate how I can put models into combats and I get +1 to wound, because backstabbers. There's a couple of interesting matchups for my army because obviously my whole army is defense 4.
Yeah.
And the Arbalesters in combat are defense 3. So you have to be very. What is wrong with the dog? Sorry about that. You have to be very careful as to your positioning when you choose to commit, what you commit to where, because as I found in a couple of the games at Strider, a couple of bad combats and I lost a lot of models very quickly.
Yeah. So, I suppose it probably doesn't matter so much against the Eagles because they're high strength anyway. Chances are they'd be killing most things relatively easy.
It's the hurling because you can fly into positions.
Yeah.
And your strength 7, I believe.
On the charge, yeah.
So you get +4 plus a D3. It potentially just wipes out a whole line of Corsairs.
And with fly, it kind of goes back to old hell rules slightly. You can position yourself in the way you want.
Put yourself in a perfect line.
Yeah, which is something that I'll probably not be the best at straight off the bat, but we'll see how it goes.
It's a scenario where I can sit at the back of the board and have a couple of turns of 10 crossbows shooting at you. Potentially it goes the other way. But that's the great thing about this game, isn't it? If you can have a plan, you roll your dice, it goes horribly wrong, and you're like, I had a really good plan for that game, it just didn't work.
Exactly. So, we'll see. Yeah, we might end up playing each other. We'll see how it goes. But yes, so we touched on the format for this event, and you mentioned about you just want to get a couple of good results to get into confirm your spot in the finale.
So I was up there, and then we've had a few more people attend events and do well.
Yeah.
Which means my 4 wins and a draw probably aren't going to be enough now. I definitely need another win to get rid of the draw, first of all. And if I can get a couple of good wins to bump up my overall scores, then that's the plan. That's what I've told people. And
what your aim is?
Yeah, just a nice 10-0 or what's the scenario where you get +1 to wound for shooty weapons?
Clash by moonlight, isn't it?
I have 23 throwing weapons and 10 crossbows. So
very nice. Because the way it's set up is that if you attend the majority of the events or all of the events, chances are you'll get one reasonable win at each, even if you have a bad couple of events. So you should get a spot. And equally, if someone just turns up to 2 and does really well because of other reasons they can't attend all of them, they should also get a spot. So hopefully we'll see at the end of this year, if you like, if it's worked out as intended. But it seems like hopefully it'll be a good balance between the two people who have really good tournaments. What the hell is that? Hello?
Hello, mate.
That's really weird. I've just set up a new doorbell. However, the doorbell is not on the outside door yet, but it started ringing.
That is really weird.
So unless I'm sitting on it, or I've moved something, there's someone with the same doorbell that's probably linked up to both. Strange. Anyway, as we said, this isn't going to be edited, so unfortunately, everyone's probably going to have to
my dog deciding to suddenly have a fit and for Jack's random doorbell coming off.
So yeah, basically the format of the event, it's getting to the point where you should start to see people who've attended a lot of events at the top, and people who've done well out of a few events are also at the top. So the next event after this one is going to be a 4-game event, again, I believe. And the thinking behind that, it's going to be kind of themed around a kind of last chance to get into the finale. So I wanted to make it 4 games rather than just 3 to give people the chance to get.
The details for that one yet, though, is there?
I'm gonna do that as soon as the week following after this event. I'm gonna put up the details for the October event and details for the finale in terms of points values for that one at the very least, just so people can have a rough idea. But that's the plan with that one. Right, so we've discussed our armies, the format of this, where we're standing with
the event. Sorry, have you just?
My aim is probably similar to yours. Maybe just get one or two wins, learn to play the army. And another reason why I chose this army is because it's not easy army to play. It's my turns should hopefully take less than my opponent. So if I do have to get dragged away for something, I'm happy to just let my opponent do all their moving and stuff. If I've done mine, it's only 4 models. So maybe there's a little bit of that element to it. But also, it's just an army I wanted to try out. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty fun.
It's a cool army.
Yeah, definitely. And another reason was I thought I could get it all painted in time.
If we get how many points is Raddy on Eagle?
He's 2. No.
Is he 200?
I think he is, because you pay. Yeah, he is. He's 200.
If it goes well for Jack, you might see his 650. Raddy on Eagle.
Well, I did want to I wanted to do an army with Radagast and Eagles. So the good thing is or no, the bad thing is, I think, whichever way you do it with an eagle or a sleigh, it always has to be a 50-point event. Otherwise, you lose Guahir. Well, you don't lose Guahir, but you're always 50 points down if you're putting Radagast in as well. Because I think even on sleigh or eagle, it's still 200 points there or thereabouts. So, but what I'll probably do for especially the points for the finale, I might put it down to a community vote.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Rather than choosing it out of the blue. I would hope to get a 4-game event. I think we spoke about this before, how larger points I prefer to an extent, but I still like to get the 4 games. So the finale may be a slightly longer day. By a longer day, I mean maybe an hour later.
A vote between the people playing in there's obviously 2 competitions. We've discussed the format before. There's the top 12 and then the second
12.
bottom 12.
Yeah.
I don't want to say bottom 12 like it's a lesser competition. It's just some people have better days than others, you know. Are you going to discuss the format of the 2 finales between the contestants of the 2 finales, or is it going to be the same format for both that everyone votes for?
It'll be both. They'll both be the same, because otherwise it would just wreak havoc with timings and everything else.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair.
It's going to be the same.
I guess the issue is if you've committed to however many league events to get to the top 12, or just to get, because I think we might have had more than 24 players in the league anyway. Oh
yeah, we definitely have. Yeah.
If you've qualified for either competition and you've made a conscious effort to qualify for either competition, then I guess you wouldn't mind a slightly longer day. And if you do mind a slightly longer day, then I guess it sounds somewhat harsh and maybe biased because I live 15 minutes away, but I guess you could just opt not to come, which would maybe suck. But
that's one reason why I want to get the details out before I start confirming places. Because I'm going to go down and I'll probably just have to go through the list and message everyone. Can you attend? Yes, no, maybe, and I'll need like a deadline to be able to know if people definitely can. Otherwise,
I've booked the finale date off as holiday. So.
Yeah, so I think most people will be interested.
Because I know for a fact that I'll have to be there first, and I'll end up leaving last because I open and shut the hall. So,
exactly. So we'll move on now. We can go into the questions, I believe.
Yeah, so we've got it's not a follow-on Q&A section to any of the other pods because it's a standalone. And what me and Jack have decided to do going forward, if we do a review or preview of an event, we're going to stick it in a separate playlist on the channel. That way, we can sort of film these as and when we need to, because CJ does edit our podcasts now, and he's got, as we said earlier, he's got a couple in the bank that have been numbered, and therefore we couldn't release, I think this would be 15 or 16 or 14 and we couldn't then release 14 and then you guys go where's 12 and 13. So we're just going to have review podcasts in a separate playlist. So and before we go on to the questions, while I've got you all here, because I've actually remembered it a bit earlier than usual, comment, like, share and subscribe. The channel in terms of views per episode is actually doing somewhat better than I expected at the moment. I know I plug it every time, but that's just because I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but I think it does to some extent. Averaging about 100 views an episode, which is really good. And we're on 82 subscribers. So in the last, I think, 3 or 4 weeks, we've gained like 20 odd subscribers. So if you are enjoying the content, because I do see that there's still like 23% of you not subscribed or something, please give us a subscribe. I'm still working out a prize for 100 because I know I said it, and it's one of those things that when you say something on the internet, you can't get out of it. So
it's out there.
It's out there now. Yeah, exactly. You're not getting my dog as much as I, potentially could give her away at this point. Anyway, comment, like, share, subscribe. If you come to the event at the weekend and you have a good time, then leave a comment with your favourite game and why. Let's have some war stories in the comments. Right, so Reese has asked...
One thing we could do before we go on to the questions, one thing I missed was the prizes. I know most people will know.
Quite good, actually.
I've actually got some of them next to me.
I should clarify that the prizes are always good because Jack buys all the new stuff.
Yeah, I think it's kind of timed right because we're getting a wave of releases which tend to be once every month, couple of months, and then the releases from that supplement or whatever it is gradually rolled out through the year. So what we've got for this event, we do the top three pick again because I think it's just better to give the first place the first option. So some people might not just necessarily want the most expensive thing; they might want a particular army or whatever.
Yep.
So the top three prizes are a box of the new Ruffians, which I still need to collect, the Ruffian Leaders from Forge World, which I have next to me, and so the third one of the three is actually a double prize. It's the personalities of the Shire, Will Whitefoot and Baldo Tulpenny, and Sheriffs of the Shire as well. So the two double packs.
Oh, nice.
And sorry, carry on.
When we get Ruffian and Hobbit spam next year, it's Jack's fault.
Yes, I've started it. There is one Hobbit Legendary Legion.
I know, and it's disgusting, and I already end up playing him and I lose to 20,000 Hobbit bows.
And there's also a prize for favourite army, and this will include painting, theme, so it's all rolled into one. Just whichever one you prefer, we'll set up in the day, get people to put them out. And if you get voted as the best one, you will win yourself a Hobbit Hole, the new Forge World terrain set.
Oh, awesome.
And the other two are Most Sporting, which we've kind of got a tradition now of being a Games Workshop voucher.
Yep.
And the Wooden Spoon will, as always, be a new set of East Anglia Hobbit Community dice, which Tom has still got a few left. So if you are interested, it's the red and white and the blue and white mix. Are
we doing new dice for the finale?
I don't know if it'll be done in time. We may just do new dice for next year. I'm going to wait and see because we're going to get decent trophies for the finale. So it'll also depend on budgets and things like that.
I can speak to you about that. I know a man.
Excellent. So we can get that sorted.
Yeah.
And potentially, but it takes time and you have to order quite a large number, I think, to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I think Tom had to order like 100 or something.
Yeah, and he's obviously still got them now. So, and then if you're ordering just, I don't know, maybe if everyone had two, that's what, 24 people, you're maybe 50 dice.
Yeah.
Then the price goes up as well if you're ordering less. So we may just do a league dice for next year. I think that may be the plan.
I think they should be on block colours because they're a little bit difficult to read this year. They look lovely, but
yeah, we've got time to sit down, have a look at that, and maybe get people in the community involved. If anyone is interested or is good at designing, because you need to use the vector graphics for those as well, get in touch and we'll sort something out.
I'm sure there's someone cleverer than me and you who can do that.
Yeah, a bit more arty.
Yeah.
Anyway, so on to the questions.
So the questions that are related to the event in some way, shape or form. Reese has asked, what is the optimum point size game for the Rangers, as in the Dunedain? He's got a follow-up question. So what is the optimum?
I think it's probably this kind of points value. I don't know an exact number.
So I played
this lower points value.
We played 1,000 points of this plus Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli at Strider, and that was really cool. But I think at 1,000 points it struggles.
Too much to deal with. I think.
Every other army is going to be huge. I think they had about 16 models. So, you know, I think this maybe I don't know if you can. I don't know what the Legion consists of. Is it Halbrad, Arathorn?
Well, the Rangers is just the one in the army book, isn't it? That's the actual army list.
Oh, I don't know the composition of it.
Yeah, though. I think it's just the Dunedain.
I guess whatever you can get all of the big heroes, or Halbrand and as many little here. I don't really know. It's not really an army I've ever looked at.
I'd probably say this kind of points value because, like we say, it's similar kind of list. We've seen a few Rangers of Aphelion lists, slightly different because they haven't all got might, but it's along the same kind of lines.
How many points is a Ranger? Is it 25?
I think it's slightly less. I think it's 20. Isn't Ranger of the North 25 and Dunedain are 20?
Okay. I guess Halbrand, as many as you can fit in, would be cool.
Yeah. I'd probably say something around the 450, maybe slightly less mark that we're playing at the moment. So I'm not sure if you're actually taking it to this event because I haven't looked through your list yet, Reese. But if you are, then you'll know better than us. But I know someone's taking similar lists, so
I
wait
know
and see.
James took a Rangers list to my escalation event, and he done quite well with it. So, especially at the earlier rounds where he had Aragorn and all the might attached to bows and stuff. So, his follow-up question: which would win in a fight, Dane and a full warband of dwarfs with shield and spear, or Mattock, your pick, or Durin with a full band of Hearthguard, assuming both have access to a band of
Got to be Dane and Shield and Spear because you can
I think
get
the
to
fact
attacks.
that he can, so it'd be what Dane can lead. Is Dane
18.
legend?
Yeah, they're both legend.
So one would be a long line potentially because there's no spears, and one can double up because they've got spears.
I'd say they're doubling up.
So it depends. It would depend on how you've deployed the 18. I think if Dane's on a pig, then it's obviously Dane. But assuming they're both on foot, because you have. Assuming they're both on foot because you haven't specified, I still think it's. I think they're both fight 4.
It's got to be Dane and Nine Hills because you've got the option to Spear and Shield. So if you had to guess generally,
if it comes down to a line versus a line, though, do you know what I mean? Because if you're having a line of, so you have Durin and he can position himself in one long line, which means when the lines meet, he can wrap around.
but equally you could put a few Shield and Spear on the end and shield them off on the edges.
Okay, let's play it. I'm sure between us in the community.
Yeah, we'll play it. We'll play it and let you know. I think generally it would be Dane and Shield.
I also think it's Dane because I think the Iron Hills are the fact that they could feint as well because they've all got swords. If Dane's on foot, he can headbutt people. I think Dane as well. Right. James has asked, are there certain lists that only work above or below a specific points value?
Probably.
Well, yeah, of course there are. I mean, that's a very vague, open question. I think there's sweet spots for lists, like my Blackgate Opens list. I think at the points level I played it at, which is 500, is its absolute perfect position. Scaling it up is very difficult, and scaling it down is also quite difficult. Yeah. So from personal experience, yes, that one list is perfect at 500 points, and it's very difficult to move it, in my opinion. Someone did say I've never played the Army of the Dead with it, which I haven't, and I think that would beat it. But of the games I've used it in, it's been very, very, very effective. So, yeah. I guess potentially Goblin Town. I know they're doing quite well recently at events, especially with a shade, which is me in. But if you're having a specific low points, I guess Goblin Town because they're so cheap.
Yeah, and then they're probably one for that because they haven't got many options. And if you're looking at pure armies as well and stat list, then they've only got so many heroes. After a while, you just have to keep adding captains.
One of my lists for this was a 53 model Goblin Town list, because it's 450 and you still get loads of models. But obviously, with the scenarios being the way they are, I don't have any mercenaries yet. That's kind of what I wanted for games where, like Recon, or where I could, potentially run a whole warband off and then hold your army up with the other 40 odd models.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are obviously, from experience, I think Blackgate is definitely one, and I guess your list at 450 is pretty specific.
Yeah, and then above that, would they be overrun by high numbers? Probably. If you're looking at 1,000 points or something, I think it might be too much to just do Eagles.
Mm.
So yeah, I think there is definitely some, but there's plenty of them.
So Tom has piggybacked James's question and has asked, at this lower points level, is there anything in your list that you know you're going to miss having on the table?
Radagast.
So for me,
fun.
the only thing I haven't got from my army list is a captain, a bosun, and reavers, because the toss up was: do I take a captain? I lose a couple. I lose one model because I've got a full war band with Dalamir and I've got 13 with Dalgamar, but I get heroic March, which I don't have March in my list, so that's a bit of an issue. But Dalgamar has a special rule where he gives me a banner effect of 3 inches. If I then don't win the fight, I might kill myself, which has happened. It is quite funny. But because the only way I can get a banner is I take a Black Numenorian, which is already more points than every other troop in my list, and then give him a banner. It's very expensive. If we play to the death, I'm going to be very upset. But that's my own fault for not taking the Black Numenorian with the banner. So yeah, I guess for me, a banner.
Yeah, mine's Radagast because it's fun. Whether it adds
good.
so much more to the list, it is still good. He's got the nerf to Nature's Wrath as along with everyone else. However, I never really took him just to knock everything down. It's a bit of a mixture of the lot. I've always found it quite fun. So for me, it's Radagast.
I'd like to have added the Knight of Umbar, but again, for the points, I think Dalgamar, being a lot cheaper and can lead the same amount of models. I don't have any magic support apart from my smoke bombs, which may or may not work. If you've got will, they don't work. So, for me, it's probably a banner.
And mine's probably Radagast.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because I've got numbers, I've got crossbows, so that's what I wanted. Sorry about that. I was muting myself because he is barking. Dimitri, I think I've got his name right, has asked, since this is a small points event, perhaps there's discussion as to what should be prioritised for such events, i.e. numbers, might, kiddie heroes, etc.
I think
we've both kind of not done the optimal thing, have we?
No.
Arguably.
With my army, you haven't got a choice. It's if you want to play my army, you fit in as many Eagles as you want to the thing. So that perspective doesn't matter. But I think if you were trying to optimize for a low points event, I think it's got to be numbers and might potentially equally. Maybe numbers first. Big heroes and magic, I think, will be a little bit further down the list with the lower points because you're not going to come up with as many big things. So magic for immobilizing things isn't going to be needed as much.
Yeah.
And your big killy heroes, if you've got a big killy hero, he's usually expensive, which means you've usually not got a lot of numbers. Chance of getting surrounded and trapped, one bad roll, and your big hero can die anyway.
Yeah.
I think numbers and might would be prioritized for smaller events. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I always try to have 1 might point per 100 points. So the event's 450 and I have 5 might points. And there's lists with more, but I think that's
quite enough. A lot of might. Quite a lot of might 450.
Yeah, it's not bad. And again, that's why I took Dalgamar, because he brings 3 might. So, what was the question? What
should be prioritized?
Well, because of the scenario spread, you can either go with what Jack's gone with, which you're kind of hoping for. Jack's a good enough player that he can win some of the scenarios that he shouldn't win. I'm not going to say that he can't. Obviously, Reconnoiter might be difficult for him. He has 4 models.
Just got to kill everything.
But he just has to get to your army early enough that you don't get past him, essentially. And if he can do that, he'll probably win because he'll break you and potentially wound/kill your leader. At the same time, if you've got enough models where you can hold a couple of runners back, and then when the lines meet, you can run round him. It'd be very difficult for him to then. He can fly, so he can chase you. But once he splits his army up, that he could lose models in the process. So that scenario is very difficult for him. But if he gets Lords of Battle, it's almost very difficult for him to lose that scenario. I don't want to say Jack should be winning certain scenarios or should be losing certain scenarios, but because of his army composition, that is how some of the scenarios work. Whole ground, again, would be difficult because he can get to the middle, but if you also get to the middle, you're going to have more models than him. But at the same time, Contest of Champions is an interesting one because he could deploy 3 Eagles in front of Guahir and then fly around the back line with Guahir and just kill 2 models a turn very, very easily. So, and for my army, I wanted to go for the might that I went for, which was 5. Dalamir's not awful in combat. He's not a big, heavy hitter, but he is fight 5 with Heroic Strike, and he does have 3 attacks, and he does re-roll wounds because of his Bane of King special rule. And because my army special rule of Backstabbers, if I can trap the models I'm trying to kill with him, he does become a somewhat reliable killer of chaff or big heroes, potentially if the scenario works out whereby I strike high, I win the fight and kill him. That it's a dice game. So I think we've both got some scenarios that favour our lists. For me, I have 33 models, so it's and because I'm only going to be playing good lists, I think there's only one good list with more models than mine, which is the Hobbit list.
Could potentially play evil lists if there's people.
I could potentially play evil lists, and again, they're of similar numbers to me. But then I probably have shooting on my side. But then there's a couple of the Hunter Orc lists with 50% bows. So it's a very interesting points level, and I know me and Dan have discussed in some length like several different army lists. I had a Mordor list that I was set on for a long time, and then I was set on the Goblin Town list for a long time, and then I played the Strider Cup with my Corsairs, and I wanted to carry on playing them because I had a lot of fun. So we both just went for something fun and cool. Have we been optimal? Probably not. Can we win games? Yes. Can we lose games? Yes. So I guess if you're for this event specifically, because that's what you've asked, and I realise I've gone around this completely around the houses and taken a really long road to get here. You kind of want a mixture. You want a somewhat reliable hero who can kill chaff, which is why I think there's 4 Faramir lists, because he's not awful, but he's not incredible.
He's your bog standard mid-tier hero, really.
I think there's one. I think CJ's got the 2 biggest heroes. I think he's got Thorin and Dwalin.
Yes.
And I think James Wilson has got Dane. So I think they're the biggest heroes that people have kind of gone for. But as you look at their lists, and their numbers have somewhat suffered because of that, because Iron Hills are quite expensive anyway. But then obviously, they've taken some big, meaty point cost heroes.
Yeah.
Now, Dan's took a very interesting list because he's got a Avenger Bolt Thrower in there, which I thought, wow, that's a interesting way to spend however many points it is.
I think it's an interesting points level, because generally most people play around 600 plus, I'd say, as most people for most games.
I think the game in the current meta, 600 plus, is kind of the minimum.
Yeah. So this could just throw up all kinds of different lists, which it seems to have done from the ones I've looked at and the ones that have been posted. It's not stuff we've normally seen.
No.
Yeah. So I hope we've answered that one. We've gone around a bit, but I think we've got there.
I kind of repeated myself a little bit there and whatnot, but
so the next one is Philip Ledbetter. What podcast is this and where can I find it? Well, unless we answer you, you're probably not going to answer. There you go.
I've linked him on the page.
Josh has just sent you a link. So, yeah.
So Sam Huddy has asked, which Faramir will reign supreme? His, Dan's, Sean's, or Will's?
I think I had a quick look when I saw this question pop up.
Well, I haven't seen that all. I haven't seen all their lists. So
I think Dan's is in the Gondor list with the Avenger Boltflower and Hurin, and Will's is I can't remember what he's got. I know Sean though has got the Ranger of Aphelion, and he's got like 30 Rangers or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's got Faramir, Madril. The other one. Damrod, that's it.
I'm backing Sean's Faramir because I think that army will do well at this points level.
But it's 36 bows. It's horrible.
And because as much as shooting is not as amazing as it looks on paper, however, most people aren't going to have as many models as they normally do. So you lose a couple of models to shooting, you're in a bit of trouble already. So I think Sean's one will reign supreme. My money's on Sean's Faramir.
I'll pick someone different. I don't disagree with you, but for the little bit of rivalry and a little bit of keeping it interesting, I think Dan's Faramir. Because I think he's tooled up to go into troops and do a lot of damage. You know, he's on a horse with a lance, I think. And he's got Hurin, which is a pretty good support hero to help him.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of stronger heroes than that at this points level.
So I think all 4 Faramir lists, or the 3 that I have looked at from people sharing them, they're all very different as well, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
So CJ has asked, what's the smallest points value tournament you've ever heard of? East Grinstead at 350 was pretty damn small. So 350 is the smallest I've ever been to. I've been to East Grinstead one a couple of times. And my first ever tournament was at North Finchley at the Scout Hut there. But unfortunately, they don't run events anymore, which is a shame. And that was called Fog on the Finchley Downs. And that was also 350 points. So
didn't they do the 21-point bat rep at Ardacon? Not the bat rep, the tournament in the bar or something, wasn't there?
I don't think that was
not a legitimate tournament. Well, no, it's not an unlegitimate tournament, but that's a kind of more of a casual thing in terms of organised events. Probably, I personally haven't heard of any lower than 350.
Sure, there's been a 300-point one though.
I haven't even been to that many other events apart from our events, full stop. So I'm not sure.
So, if anyone from the GBHL knows of, I think there was a 300-point event. If anyone who listened to this can clarify that, but otherwise, I think it's 350. You're kind of entering that the game doesn't really work very well lower than that because you have like a warband each and a hero, and it'll be a bit naff unless you're playing goblins. So
yeah, see if anyone gets back and knows of any smaller events, but I haven't heard of any lower than 350.
And then Sam has added to that question saying, which armies do you think play better at low points? Goblin Town?
Yeah, maybe the Rangers. We'll know after this weekend.
Maybe Moria?
Yeah. Anything that is generally
Lake Town?
High numbers.
Because you can still take Bard and a lot of models for 350 points.
It's true. I think anything that's generally high model count, because they'll tend to have captainy level heroes, and you won't come up against too many things that are going to overpower you completely, whereas you would at higher points.
I think all hero works well at lower points.
Yeah, you can get a couple of heroes in. Do you know what probably would have been good? Well, I don't know what it all adds up to. Is a couple of Iron Hills captains on goats with all their free
90 points with a goat.
So it wouldn't work at 350. Quite.
90, 20. You get 3.
No, yeah.
Would you get? Yeah, you get 3.
So yeah, it's not the best. example.
If
And then one
are they
on
80
foot.
points or are they 75? I can't remember any points
They're
there.
80 and then 90 with a horse
With a goat.
goat.
Yeah.
So maybe you'd get what, 3 and 1
I
on
mean,
foot?
I looked at a fellowship list for this, but I had Boromir, Legolas, and Strider, and I think that came to like 400. And obviously, the only thing I could then take would be hobbits.
Yeah.
And it just kind
Do
of.
they make you better or worse though? That's the
Well,
thing.
I would play the 50 points down, to be honest.
Or I don't know what they'd add up to. Maybe not at 350, but at these lower points, there's no fellowship list as such. There's no free hunters.
No.
Maybe they're 300, 400 points all added up, or is it four? I thought it was 450 with all the upgrades.
For which three?
The actual free hunters without the horses, obviously.
I think
Aragon, Legolas, Gimli.
Aragorn's 160, Legolas is 100, Gimli's 100.
So with add-ons, you're probably looking 400 would be the ceiling for those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got 3 models on foot, which is kind of why I wanted to go for the Boromir, Legolas, Aragorn, because they can all go on horse.
Yeah.
I guess I could have took Merry and Pippin with cloaks and just hid them on back objectives because they would potentially be in cover. But yeah, it didn't really work, and they're not painted. So,
but let us know your armies you think will be best at low points. People who are coming to the event, I'm assuming the armies you've chosen will be ones you think you do well. And anyone else who isn't attending, let us know what you think would be good at 350, 450, these lower points values.
Yeah, definitely. Feedback.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's all of the questions for this one. I think we'll wrap it up there because it's only a preview.
A shorter one.
Yeah, so we'll try and get a review out after the event. Maybe run through how we did. Maybe run through our games. I think we did that before, and that seems to go down quite well. So we'll look at doing something like that next week, possibly. And like we say, this is going to be added in a separate playlist to the normal podcast.
I do apologise for mostly my background noise. Katie's away at the moment, so I've got puppy watch, and she's decided now to play up. She's been good all morning, but
so this hasn't been edited. So there's a bit of barking, bit of rambling, bit of off topic, bit of dropping in and out here and there. But if you're stuck with it, thank you. We'll hopefully see most of you at the event this Saturday. And anyone who's not got a space, and if you are listening to this, maybe pop yourself on the reserve list. The reserve list's empty at the moment. If you're not doing anything that weekend, there's always a chance that for some reason someone can't make it. You might get a spot. And if not, just check out the event and check out the league if you've not come before. If you're interested.
Just to add to that, if you want to come down and meet some people and watch to decide if you want to attend an event in the future, that you're more than welcome to do that as well. Yeah. Obviously,
The details of the Scout Hut are on the event page. They're
actually also on Google Maps.
Yes.
Katie finally got a message back. Apparently, it takes a long time to add something to Google Maps because she said she's been waiting for ages. So now, if you actually search for, can I do it quickly while we're?
It's just Epping Fourth Scout Hut, isn't it?
Epping Scout Hut. And if you go on more, is there maps? No. Oh, why is it not brought up maps? Should have done this earlier.
But anyway, trust us, it is there because I remember seeing the screenshot.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, check out the event. Check out the East Anglia Hobbit community on Facebook. Just search it up. If you want to join, click join. Me or Josh or one of the other admins will approve you. And we'll try and do a few more of these in the future, and we're going to keep it separate to the normal podcast because CJ's doing a great job of editing them, and we don't want to mess up the order, so we'll keep this. So just to clarify, if you go on Google Maps and type in 4th Effing Scout Group, it comes up. That's how you have to do it. So, excellent. Yeah. All right, thank you for everyone. We'll shut up now because we're doing that thing at the end where we ramble on for ages. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Hopefully we'll do a review next week, and bye for now. Yeah, that works. See you later. Bye-bye.